Hello everybody. In today's video we're going to look at some traditional methods of marking the holes at the end of your leather strap. I'm Simon and welcome to Oakside Saddlery. Our holes then, and marking the holes. What we're going to look at is not so much punching the holes through, we're just going to look at where to mark your holes and how it changes with different widths of strap that you might use. I'm going to look at some of the traditional methods of doing it. But first up, you've got to use your imagination a little bit here, because these are just offcuts from pieces of strap. So imagine that we've got, so this is a dog collar. So you've got a dog collar, the buckle's there, and then the whole thing to fit the dog's neck is to that hole there for me. So that's the measurement when I ask for buckles. That's where I want it to be, and it will buckle up there. So use your imagination now. Buckles at this end. This is the piece that hasn't been cut yet, and our length is going to come to a point somewhere along them straps. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. The different widths, so again, we're not worrying about that one, they're all different widths. So we've got probably 1.25 inches thereabouts, an inch, and that looks like about 3/4 of an inch, something like that. So it depends a lot on the width of your strap, the type of work you're making, and what your style is really. You don't have to copy everybody else, you can make your own things up, can't you? Some people, for instance, will just put every hole they do will always be 1 inch apart. That's fair enough. Other people make it longer. If it was a shoulder strap, for instance, on a bag, it may have a big long bit of adjustment on it, whereas a dog collar you can't have so much adjustments, purely for the fact there'd be too much offcut on the end hanging over. So we'll look at these three widths, shall we, for the time being. So let's have a think. 1.25 inch, 3/4 inch. In mine, for my traditional sides, that would mean these holes are going to be 1 inch apart, they're going to be 1.25 inches apart, and these will be 3/4 of an inch apart. Other people don't like that, they always think 1 inch. What we're looking at traditionally is the width of the leather, and that's what a lot of it goes for. So let's have a quick look then. Let's start on this 1 inch apart. This is our easy one for it. So lots of people like 1 inch. So as an instance, buckle was at this end. I've measured it and it come to here as to where I need my middle hole. So that's my hole that's going to fit that dog collar. If I make just one hole, yeah, brilliant, it fits. But if the leather stretches, the dog gets bigger. If it's a belt, for instance, that you lose some weight, you might need to have a few adjustment holes there. And one hole just looks wrong, doesn't it? So what I'm going to do on the first one, we're just going to roughly use these blocks on the cutting mat. They're 1 inch apart. We could put a ruler on there if we wanted to and measure that as well. But I'm just going to go by eye for this one. So there's centre one there. I've lined it up with this bit here as I'm looking. That means there's a hole there and another hole there. So that's my middle hole. That's the hole I want it to. These two for show on either side. 3 holes. Doesn't really look very good, does it? Let's try and put another one on then. So it's still the middle hole. And I want another hole there. I try and make everything even. So I never have an even number of holes. I will always have an odd number. Pretty much every single time. And that means that when it buckles up, you've got 2 holes this side and 2 holes this side. If I was putting more, if I wanted more adjustments, I'd then think about one on that side and another one on this side. So it's 7 holes. So I would always try and go for an odd number, because odd numbers just fit better when you're buckled onto a middle hole. So we've got 7 holes, wasn't it, on there? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 holes. Are they in the middle of the strap? Probably not. So we need to even them up a little bit as we're going to go. So you have options again. We can, there's a ruler. I can take my ruler, place it on there. I'm going to have to change here because my head's going to get right in the way. Place it on there. I can see where I marked earlier. I now want that to be there. So I'm going to put a little darker mark, a bit deeper. I can do the same on that one. A little bit deeper. So we can see it. Another one there. Another one there. Another one there. It's exciting, isn't it? It's like the most exciting video we've ever done. That one's alright. Another one there. Another one there. So that's where you can see now they're pretty much central. They're going to be fairly central, as best as central you can do it with a ruler. It's not my favourite way of doing things. And there's our 7 holes. When I come to making these, and we'll have a look at it on another video, punching a hole, we can then look at it, and a lot of leather work, not my leather work especially, is done by eye. Whereas I will put that on there, little tap, and we'll look at it later on at some point. Little tap, and I can look at that and go, does that look like it's in the middle? If it is, then I punch the hole all the way through. If it's not, I can readjust and change it around and everything else. So I do a lot by eye that just fits. But that's one way. Fairly simple. All it required was something pointy and something to measure with. And we're done, aren't we? Yeah, so let's have a look at a different one then. So that was 1 inch. Let's have a look at this one. So this is about 3/4 of an inch. Again, I'm not that fussed about widths. It fits a buckle. Well, it obviously did fit a buckle because it's been cut off or something. So buckle was at this end. This is my end coming out. So we need, again, our middle hole. I've measured it, and the measurement comes down, and it worked out as being there. So what we're going to do this time, I'm going to use a set of dividers. These are my real old dividers. I'm going to find a date on there one day. I'm going to set that out, and what I'm going to do is set it to the width. Can you hear the dogs all howling? Not my dogs. I'm going to set it to the width of that belt strap. So that is about 3/4 of an inch thereabouts. Then all I'm going to do, put it in that centre hole. I'm going to do 1, 2 that way, and then 1, 2 that way. So I've got marks up there for five holes. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's easy enough, isn't it? Much quicker. Probably a damn sight more accurate than measuring it like it. The next thing I'm going to do then is try and get this roughly halfway. So again, this is a bit by eye, first of all. So I'm going to just keep adjusting my dividers until when I put them on both sides, there's one there, a little bit out, one there, and they all meet in the middle. So one there, one there, one there, one there. Go down this way, one there, one there, one there, one there. How much easier is that? So a set of dividers. Dividers do it really well. Nice and simple. They're not very expensive, are they, dividers? So that was a 3/4 inch strap. We can already see between that inch strap with a middle hole, 3/4 of an inch, how you can get different adjustments by how far apart you space your holes to the ends. So something bigger probably needs a bit more space on them. Something smaller needs a lot more adjustment, a bit finer. 1 1/4 inch then. We can do either of their methods. We can measure 1 1/4 inch. I can set my dividers again to 1 1/4 inch. We can do a variety of things. So let's, for instance, say that doesn't even look quite square, that strap, but so that was my middle hole there. So this is the end, buckle at this end again still. This time I've got something, so a friend of mine made this for me. He's quite clever, to be honest. Much cleverer than me in certain ways. So he 3D printed these for me. And he made them in a way that I can change that centre to either like 1 1/2 inch or 1 inch. So I could get him to print some more out if I wanted to, though he's 3D printed. So a tinge of ginge, check him out. If I can figure out how to do that, I might try and link it somewhere. So he's on YouTube, a tinge of ginge. You'll go and see a load of snake stuff on there because that's what he's into. Anyway, these ones, all I've got to do, the holes are spaced 1 1/4 inch apart, which is what I want them on here. There was my centre hole, so I'm just going to find that centre hole which is there. If I then twist that strap, that tool, it brings it in line to the middle. So look, if you look at it there, as I twist it, it just brings it in line into the centre there. So let's just find that centre hole again. So it's there, twist it round, grip it in place. So I've got a hole there, hole there, hole there, and a hole there. Oh, I can't fault that one. How easy is that? Just for some bits of plastic that he's printed out. So we've got 5 holes all in the centre of that strap. Works fantastic, doesn't it? It's a really nice thing to do. I'm sure he'd make you one if you asked him. You'd have to ask him nicely. Anyway, Ginger Ginge, check him out. So we've got our holes marked. That's our holes on all of these things. This was the buckle steel. How far should we leave on that end? Now this is another one, is down to your personal preference. So we can look at them points that we did in the last video. We can cut our fittings wherever we want them. Depends on what we're looking at. Traditionally then, if we said, got 7 holes on there, I reckon from that end, or no, there, looks pretty good. That looks alright, doesn't it? So what's that? 1, 2, just under 3? That'd be about right. Something like that. So easy one for an inch wide strap in it to get a square end. You just hold your ruler on, because most rulers are a thing. There's my end. Cut it off, put a point on, sorted. Don't have to do a lot to it, do I? If I use that same method though on here and went just under 3, somewhere around there, it looks a bit too long, doesn't it? So that's not quite as good. Likewise, if I did it on this one and went just under 3, it's probably coming out a little bit too short from the first hole. So when you put a buckle on, there's hardly anything sticking out the end. So we need to change that to fit. So traditional methods, this is 1.25 inches apart. So what I'm going to measure is 2.5 times the width of the belt. Yeah, so 2.5 times that 1.25 inches. Don't have to use any maths, do you? You can go, there's 1.25, so there's 1.25, and it comes there, 1/2 inch, and then we can go again, and somewhere around there is where we're going to cut it. Simple as that, isn't it? So there's a nice little bit here. And that's where I'm going to cut. That now looks fairly good, doesn't it? So there's my last hole. So if that buckled up to there and the buckle's across, you'll still have a little bit coming out the end. So it looks quite nice. This one, it's only 3/4 inch, wasn't it? I don't even know if it was 3/4 inch. Yeah, there it is. 3/4 inch. So let's try it a different way. Forget this is the actual fact. Let's do it this side. That was a bit that was perhaps an off cut from where I fitted the buckle. So the buckle was on there. This was the bit I've cut off. So now I've got the width of that belt. So I can actually hold that on there and go 1, 2, and then think, oh, half is about there, and that would be my point to cut off. How easy is that? Don't even need a ruler or anything for that one. So we've got a line across there somewhere, would be that part. One of the things I might have to do is make something that doesn't involve measurements. So that would be that one. So that's three different ways of marking your holes. I don't know which you prefer. I know the simplest ways for me is to use the width of the belt rather than guessing. You can't always do that, purely for the fact that sometimes you're copying something else, and if I'm trying to make it match the same, I'm going to have to do the holes in exactly the same position. Sometimes on a bag, for instance, I might have a strap that wide, but the holes are about 1.5 inch apart because it fits better. So it depends on what you want. But roughly the width of the strap is the distance apart for your belts, and you'll always have an odd number of holes so that you're buckling on the middle hole and it all looks even. Anyway, quite a shortish video for what we can have. We'll look at punching some of these holes through on another occasion and see how you get on. So if you enjoyed the video, again, give it that thumbs up, hit the like button and everything else. Think about subscribing if you need it, and saving it to your favourites or whatever, and share it if you want to. But otherwise, have a good day and enjoy yourself. Goodbye.